Lipitor, or atorvastatin, is a drug used to control cholesterol. In clinical trials of Lipitor, 94 subjects were treated with Lipitor and 270 subjects were given a placebo. Among those treated with Lipitor, 7 developed infections. Among those given a placebo, 27 developed infections. We want to use a 5% level of significance to test the claim that the rate of infections was the same for those treated with Lipitor and those given a placebo. So if we let um, the first proportion here be the proportion though for the Lipitor group, that means we are going to have our hypothesis test, the null hypothesis, be that P1 is equal to P2, and the alternative, since we want the Lipitor group to, since we are trying to see if the rate of infections was the same for those treated with Lipitor, than they were given there as a placebo. We want to use for this then that the proportions are not equal. So P1 does not equal to P2 due to the fact that we are trying to test to see if they are the same. So the only thing we're looking for then is them not being the same. So for this, in my Excel spreadsheet over here, we need to put in 94 subjects for the Lipitor group. And from those 94, 7 developed infections, so 7 for the number of successes. And for the second group, the placebo group, that was 270 subjects. And out of those, 27 developed a infection, so that would be 27 for the number of successes, although I wouldn't necessarily refer to that as successful per se. But we have our z-score here of negative 0.73. So z-score is negative 0.73. The p-value for this two-tailed hypothesis test is 0.4638. 0.4638. So the interpretation of this hypothesis test, since our p-value is well above the level of significance, at the 5% level of significance, we do not have sufficient evidence to reject the null hypothesis. Or in other words, that the two proportions are essentially the same. For the testing the claim using an appropriate confidence interval, this since we have a 5% level of significance, that means this confidence interval is going to be a 95% confidence interval. So in my spreadsheet here, I need to change this confidence level to 95. And we could see from this that the difference created a value of negative 2.55. This negative is due to the fact that the second proportion is bigger. So that means the placebo developed more infections than the Lipitor group, according to what this is showing us. But we have our confidence interval here being between the lower bound is negative 0.0895, and the upper bound is 0.0385. Okay? And the fact that we have one negative value and one positive value means it very well could be indeed 0, which the difference between the two could be 0, I should say, which is essentially what this hypothesis test was testing for. Well, was trying to find evidence against, I should say. So for this confidence interval, we are 95% confident that the difference between the rate of infections for those treated with Lipitor and those treated with a placebo is between negative 0.0895 and 0.0385 from that lower and upper bound that we found from the Excel template.